Hello and welcome to this week's Give Voice to Your Vision. What if you already have everything you need to soar in your business? Is there that part of you that knows you've got all the pieces, but they're not clicking yet? Or if you stepped into a bigger container, maybe you would get bigger results. This week's Give Voice to Your Vision episode, I couldn't think of the word, is all about the fusion that fuels your fall growth and really your growth at any time of year, but it's particularly powerful right now to take a look at what will help you create momentum, because fall is such an incredible time and energy for you to finish the year strong. So effort doesn't always equal momentum, revenue, and reach, right? Reach and revenue. So what is it that you're doing that you could do a little better or stop doing or do something new to create that momentum? So what we're playing with today is, what if you already have the pieces of that puzzle together, inside and out? Because just doing more or figuring it out or trying to crack the code or getting caught in that loop of learning and figuring, which is part of the process and kind of fun to do sometimes too, won't necessarily help you get that acceleration that you want to finish this year strong. So that's what we're talking about today. Number one, I'm going to cover 3 different things, and I'm also going to give you a way to come to a training with me that at no cost next week, where we can help you start to identify those pieces of the puzzle and how you can sift and sort through those quickly to create your more streamlined, focused, accelerated plan for this fall. So stay tuned for that, or check in the comments and come back if you come back to watch the replay. We'll make sure you get access to that class that I'm hosting next week to go further with this. I like to keep these short and give you a lot of value while we're here. So first of all, you need to be clear, right? One thing that will help you to get that momentum you're after is clarity. So what stops your clarity and focus and momentum? Many of us look outside of ourselves to a new tool, a new technology, a new training. There's so many really smart, amazing people offering great content that it can be very compelling to think, well, maybe they have the answer, or I need to figure this out, or if I do it this way, and look outside of ourselves. Those are great skills, and our ongoing learning is wonderful and part of our process and growth. However, if we don't start to sift and sort and discern, what are we doing? What are we most aligned with? What's working for us? Then we will get overwhelmed or feel overwhelmed with all of the options and not feel more clarity, because more clarity doesn't come from more input. It comes from tuning in and sifting and sorting and asking yourself those discerning questions. But we don't always know exactly what questions to ask ourselves because we're in the soup. We're the frog in the pot. So when you're caught in learning mode or scattered and pulled in a bunch of different tasks, full disclosure, I was pulled in a bunch of different tasks earlier today. So when we get there, we need a way to refocus, and we get caught up in distraction, and our momentum stalls out because we're not sure what those daily doables are. We were just working with the accelerator cohort that's happening right now, our Visibility Success Accelerator, and like, how can we discern those daily doables? And I'll just give you a sneak peek behind the curtain. One of the most powerful ways that you can do this, and sometimes we forget this in the transformation space where we want to uplift and serve, and we've got this message and this calling, but one of the ways to discern and decide what you put your attention, time, energy, and effort into is, what will move the needle in my business? What could create revenue or enrollment or transformation for a client, a new client, bring in a new client today? What action could I take to do that? And then go back into the flow of all the different things that we're doing to reach and serve others. So clarity doesn't come from more information. It comes from tuning in, trusting yourself, and having the discernment. And for me, having sounding board, community, a container where I can bring what comes in the creative process of a lot of ideas into some focused implementation, or to help me check in and tune into myself to see, am I asking the right question for me right now? So number 2, there are, excuse me, there are 3 ingredients that create lift. We're talking about soaring in your business and the fusion that can happen to really give you fuel to create more momentum impact, to grow your reach and revenue this fall. And there's always 3 ingredients that are going to give you that lift, the wind beneath your wings, that rocket fuel that's going to help you create more impact and income. And they're timeless. They don't change based on the economy, and they don't change based on your results even. You can tweak one of these 3 legs of this 3-legged stool is usually where you're going to find and unlock momentum, and having a cohesive way for how they're working together in your business, in your daily activity, in what you're paying attention to, and in how you're reaching and serving your clients. So 3 ingredients that give you the wind beneath your wings to help you soar. Remember, when we're soaring, we're not flapping so hard. We might have to flap a little to get up there and get altitude. And then soaring is really about opening your wings. So playing bigger and looking at a broad, long field, right? A big horizon, looking at the whole picture. And when we're in our business, it can be very hard to allow time or have a process or a practice to do that. That's where that sounding board or those outside eyes and fresh perspective become so powerful. So 3 ingredients that create lift. We've talked about one of them already. The first is clarity, which is something we're often feels like either we kind of really, really know, but then we're not clear about what to do, or we're just doing so many things and we have this big calling, big vision, all these things that we want to do and create, and everything sounds urgent or feels urgent. So how do we discern and decide what matters most right now and what to put a pin in, pause, or stop doing altogether in order to create the real impact and momentum that we want to have in the world, in our business, in our bank account, and in our lives? Yeah. So the first thing is clarity. And the second thing, honest to God, is courage. Courage comes from the root word heart. So that is in taking bold, aligned action, even when you don't feel ready. Okay, even when you don't feel ready, having the support, investing in yourself, believing again, the tools, the frameworks, the inner work, the believing mirrors, the community around you to take bold action. Those of us who feel called and we're building a business and we're wanting to reach and serve thousands and millions of people often have some vulnerability around that because it's big. It's just so big. So taking bold action. So the first ingredient that creates lift is clarity. The second ingredient that creates lift is something you can. These are things you practice, you put into implementation. You don't arrive at them once and for all. The second ingredient is courage, being bold, taking big, broad action, coloring outside the lines, staking a claim, taking a stand. And then the third ingredient that's going to give you lift is where this fuel really starts to take place and gives you that fusion in your business. And that is having a cohesive strategy, the through line that ties all that you're doing together into action. When you have clarity and discernment and know how to sift and sort, a process or a person or a place to sift and sort, so that you can get clear and cultivate that courage. Remember, if we didn't have fear, we wouldn't need courage. So fearlessness happens in a moment of courage. Take heart, have courage. Courage is something you can do. It's not something we do and then have clarity, right? So clarity, courage, and then having a cohesive strategy. Together, through implementation, these things actually are the practical, applicable tools to be confident. Okay, we don't get confident and then take bold action. Rarely is you can read many testimonials from amazingly successful visionary entrepreneurs and experts, and they will tell you they didn't know what they were doing. So, or it was at the edge, or they weren't sure, they were following an impulse. So clarity, courage, and having a cohesive strategy, this through line that ties all you're doing together toward the result that you want, is how you create confidence. And did I have that? No, I was looking at my banners. So how do we find small shifts Okay, the third thing I wanted to share with you today as your weekly infusion of inspiration and clarity and momentum here on the Give Voice to Your Vision show. If you come back and watch the replay, please let us know you're here on whichever platform you're watching from. I'm going to share a way for you to join me for a live class to unleash your frequency factor, and we're going to review the 3 components of any timeless essentials of your business to help you discern and decide, to get this clarity, to feel this inspiration and courage, and to see how you can create your custom cohesive strategy in a live class with me, full class tomorrow. And I'll come back on all platforms where we're streaming and make sure you have a way to join us for that at no cost. So the third thing I wanted to cover before we wrap for today is, how do we find these small pivots that are going to actually lead to real reach and revenue growth right now, this fall, before the end of the year. So remember that the next level of audience growth, of impact, of client enrollment and sales is rarely about doing more. It's often about finding and activating what's already there, discerning and deciding which things are working. We tend to look for the things that aren't. How could we do a little bit of that to do that a little bit better and a little bit more? So in practice, how do we do that? Identify something that's working. Okay, that will give you the biggest benefit. If you can pinpoint that thing, and that's one of those tools that we're going to cover these 3 other pillars in class next week, and I'll walk you through it. But for now, think of one thing. If I could have more, if this was working just a little bit better, or this is working, I could do it a little bit more. That will give you the biggest benefit of the results that you're working on this fall. Is it more revenue? Is it audience growth? Is it well, pretty much that revenue piece is the most important thing for your business, and then how you go about it is the game, is the play, right? Do you need to ask different questions? Where could you get fresh perspective, or how can you activate your own clarity? You're tuning in your own inspiration. Trust yourself so that you can see what's working and what you're guided to. Your energy, how you show up. If you feel enthusiastic and excited and curious about your business and your strategy and your visibility and your marketing and your messaging and your speaking and your sales, then it's going to go better because you're raising your frequency. You're at that higher vibe. If it feels like, oh, I got to do this and I got to do that and this isn't working and I don't know if this is right, it tanks your energy. So remember, your presence, how you show up, who you are, all of who you are is worthy beyond measure. And allowing that to come through and tuning and calibrating your energy and enthusiasm is as powerful as getting the nitty-gritty strategy and details worked out. And then so in order to do all of these things, first of all, we're rare humans and animals who are these creative, expert, visionary, making stuff entrepreneurs, right? And so we need to be surrounded or have sounding boards of people who get that and have navigated it ahead of us, a little behind us, whatever, to help us normalize and develop our own strategies for our continued ongoing growth and expansion, because we never get it done. You'll reach that 7-figure milestone, and then something bigger will be made real, be made clear to you, and you'll continue to grow. So it is small shifts in your focus, identifying those things that will help you have the bigger accelerated results this fall and beyond. So you probably already have the ingredients to figure out your next level growth through the end of this year. It's about sifting and sorting, discerning and deciding, and keeping your energy high and showing up with all of who you are, and often simplifying what you do, not trying to do everything everywhere at once. The first place I suggest you look is how many classes and calls and trainings and free stuff or paid stuff, programs that are filling your calendar, and how much time are you spending sharing your message, creating your message, reaching out, connecting with your audience, and giving people an opportunity to hear how they can work with you. And we're going to cover that. I'm going to walk you through that live in class next week. It's a no-cost class. class, but it is a live class. We do live transmission here in my world, especially in today's day of automation and AI. There's a unique container we build when we're together at the same time from across the world, even on Zoom. And so we do live classes. There's 2 options for you to join, and it's called Unleash Your Frequency Factor Masterclass. I'm going to walk you through 3 proven essentials, timeless essentials, and a process for how can you clarify that energetic show up, how you show up energetically. And then we'll go into real practical 3 components that you can sift and sort. We'll do some inventorying and get you clarity, some self-assessing on how you can move the needle to create more reach and revenue in your business by being more you, and maybe most likely doing less, but doing more of the things that are actually going to help you get more traction in your business. So I will make sure that this link is also posted in the comments below this. When you come back, if you've watched this live, please let us know you're here. Hashtag takeaway, and let us know the value you've received. Feel free to share it with others. And if you're over on YouTube, subscribe to us on YouTube. If you're here on LinkedIn, we just today launched our LinkedIn newsletter. Check it out, the Powerful Presence Edge. Would love to welcome you into that community. And come to class if you want to have a chance for me to walk you through these 3 things that are going to help you sift and sort and streamline and focus so that you have a clear plan to create the reach and revenue you want this fall, finish the year stronger than ever, and have more expression, have that visibility turn into the fuel, and fuse these 3 ingredients, not only the 3 ingredients that we talked about today, the clarity, the courage, and that cohesive strategy. We will look at how to create that cohesive strategy in class next week. And so until I see you again here on Give Voice to Your Vision, let's connect in the comments. Have a good weekend.